Welcome to Down the Line with Charlie and Bo. I'm Sam Wilson. One thing these Phillies legends love talking about is their baseball, and they're going to talk about the current game and some stories coming up on this week's episode of Down the Line. We'll also meet Reading Phillies Hall of Famer Ducky Turner and broadcaster Emily Messina. Stay tuned. Down the Line is brought to you in part by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. Visit Montgomery County's main streets. Find out more at makeitmainstreets.com. By Shibe Vintage Sports, where there's a story in every stitch. Check out their throwback sports gear at their Center City location or at shibesports.com. And by Phillies Nation, where informed fans go for news, rumors, events, and other fun stuff.
They're not just familiar faces. They're your friends and neighbors. It's their small businesses, a beating heart that makes a neighborhood a home, where personality is served on a plate and imagination paints a brighter world. A place where fresh is always in stock with a personal touch passed down through generations. Support small and make a big difference. Make it local. Make it Main Street. Make it Montco.
My name is Kenny Thomas and I'm the chief artist at Shibe Sports. I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan, a 4-for-4 guy.
I learned how to screen print in high school. Started making my own t-shirts at home, slowly grew and grew until I needed to get a studio. My name's Alex and I print t-shirts for Shibe Sports.
To actually be able to impact a culture with the things you make is one of the most important things an artist can ever do.
Charlie, you know, we're sitting here in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I know we have a lot of fans that followed our career. And I look back on my career, and I was very lucky. My first year I played in A-ball, then I went to AA, and I went to AAA. People don't understand how hard it is to get to the big leagues and the grind that it is riding the buses. And I know you went through, you spent a lot more times in the minor leagues than I did. And
I signed right out of high school. And they sent me to Withville, Virginia. It's about 100 miles from where I lived. And as a rookie ball, you play like 60-some games, I think. And I played every day. I hit like 358 or something. And I was like second in the league in hitting. And I had a good season. The next year, I went to C-ball in Orlando, in the Florida State League. And the following year, I would go to Wilson. I went to jumped Visalia and went to Wilson, which was B-ball then, or A-ball, high A-ball really. And from there, I had a terrible season. They sent me back to Wisconsin Rapids, which was C-ball.
Wow.
And
so you got demoted.
Yeah, and I won a Triple Crown that year. At that time, I was like 22 years old or something. And I went from there to AA. And from AA, in 1969, I made our team. And Tony Lee was a year of the strike, and he wasn't in spring training. I got to play, and I made our team.
Oh wow!
And I stayed there. I broke my ankle in that about a month later in the season. And after that, I never really got to play a whole lot at the major league level. And I kept getting sent down to AAA and back up. And in those days, you had like 4 options on you.
Yeah, they can send you out.
And if they can send you out and call you back before 21 days, it didn't count as an option. Well, I was 26 or 27, 8 years old before I worked those options out, because they'd send me down, and I'd sit on a bench for about a month or so, and then they'd send me back down again because I wasn't hitting nothing, so they'd send me down. And when I come back up, I'd do okay for a while, but the pitching was always ahead of me. And I was very fortunate enough as a major league player to get 6 years in total. And that was, but then also too, it's you gotta, it's what do you call it? It's
grind it out, man.
Grind it out, and you gotta be able to stay. I mean, that's all it's about. It's hard to explain. You can do good and you can get sent back, You can do real good and you still stay there.
Right.
And you could be doing kind of mediocre, and when they need you or something, you might get called up and stay forever.
Well, you know, you bring up Minnesota a lot, who had great teams when you played. Now, I look back, when I was, especially in '80, we had Schmitty, myself, Manny Trio, and Pete Rose. Now, if you were in the minor leagues, no matter what you were doing down there, there's a good chance you weren't getting promoted.
Right, exactly.
So when people say it's a tough grind, they don't understand that you could be hitting 300. It doesn't matter if the guys in the big leagues are performing. You got to get an opportunity to play.
Right, and also too, we always talk about changes in the game. There were always hitters in the minor leagues when I played.
Always.
And if you couldn't throw, and if you couldn't run, and you did not know how to play, and things like that, they did not take you to the major leagues. You had to, the pluses was graded out by power, running, throwing, hitting, you know, like what kind of hitter you are and things like that. And it was definitely, you know, like you had to know who you were, and it was hard work. And it's a lot of hard work. And people today, they don't understand when you talk to young guys or young coaches or whoever, they don't understand the work that you actually put in.
And you know, Charlie, we talk about pitching and the way it is. To me, my biggest adjustment was probably going from, once I got through AA, I felt that the maturation process started. In A-ball, when the count was 2-0 or 3-1, you get fastballs. As soon as you started playing AA and got higher, pitchers would throw breaking balls over behind in the count. But the one thing they were able to do, even when we played, they were able to locate fastballs, outer half, inner half, elevate, get breaking balls over behind the count. And I think that's the biggest difference that I see now watching minor league baseball, the inability to master both sides of the plate.
Right. We give sometime nowadays. We've had changes since I've been in baseball. There's changes, and you too. There's been changes about every 5 or 10 years. There's been expansion, and that allowed more jobs. Actually, that might be why I got to the big leagues, because there's 2 expansions there within about 8 years or something, and that opened the door up for so many jobs. But at the same time too, you know, like baseball, the changes in baseball nowadays, you know, like just because that we played better, we definitely played better defense, although they make dramatic plays nowadays.
Right.
You hear people say, well, they're stronger and bigger and faster nowadays. Yeah, and they do make tremendous plays, but at the same time, they don't always catch the ball.
It's consistency.
And you got to consistently make throws. You got to know how to play, and you got to know how to be situational hitters and things like that, and what to do. And you got to be able to field your positions. And if you watch, you say don't bunt. Nowadays, if you bunt, you got a good chance of getting on, because we don't do fundamental baseball, and they'll throw the ball away at first. There's a 50-50 chance.
Yeah.
And I think there's a 50-50 chance on scoring with 2 outs, and an outfielder has to move to the ball. I think maybe even more than a 50-50 chance.
We'll be right back with more from Charlie and Bo.
They're not just familiar faces, they're your friends and neighbors. It's their small businesses, a beating heart that makes a neighborhood a home, where personality is served on a plate and imagination paints a brighter world. A place where fresh is always in stock, with a personal touch passed down through generations. Support small and make a big difference. Make it local. Make it Main Street. Make it Montco.
Welcome back to Down the Line. This guy behind me is such a legend here in Reading. He has his own door, and Charlie and Larry are about to talk to him.
Everyone says Bo and Charlie are old timers. How about Ducky here?
Yeah, well, hey, when I think of Ducky, just think all the baseball he's seen right here in Reading.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Well, really, I'm very lucky, really, myself. But like I said, 50 years. I made 50 years being here, and served some of the jobs throughout here as official scorekeeper. Kept started pitches one time. I used to do that in the press box up there. But then I got onto the stadium commission, and that's when we started our building fund. Boy, you would probably remember it. When you played here, you were in the old locker room, where there was one small locker room with a wall between.
For the other team.
For the other team, and both players were there.
Right.
And we were always worried about we were going to get a fight when the players came through the runway over there at first base, going into the locker room, and we didn't want to get involved in the middle of a fight, so we wanted to build a new locker room. The city wouldn't do it, so Dale Long, I guess you remember him. He played.
Charlie knows him.
Yeah, he played first base for the Pirates. But when he retired, he worked for the Major League Baseball, and he was one of those gentlemen that came out and checked the ballpark. And I was out here with him one night, and he was checking the lights, you know, with the light meter and everything else. And I said to him, I said, Dale, I says, when you send in your report, we want to get a new locker room. I said, is there anything you can put in there to help us out? Well, he said, I'll see what I can do. So I didn't think anything of it. About a week and a half later, the city councilman from Reading called me up and he says, Ducky, he said, did you get the report on from Dale Long from Major League Baseball? No, I said, I didn't get anything. He said, well, he has in there, he says, locker room unfit for human inhabitation. Well, it was all I could do to stop. I didn't want to laugh. I said, you gotta be kidding. I said, I thought everything was great. I said, he never said anything about the locker room to me. I didn't want to get in trouble. But make a long story short, the city gave us $20,000 plus all the city workers to make a new locker room. We made one up at that end and then one down here at third base for the visitors. It was really
So you basically, you had a lot to do with that. I know you're not going to take credit for it, but you had a lot to do with that.
Well, I started it off, but with the building fund and everything else, we actually paid the city back their $20,000. One year I chartered pitchers for Felsky, and I thought I was going to Philly next year when he became a manager, and he didn't take me along. Well, he found out he only lasted 1 year. They fired him. He didn't have the guy to take his pitcher.
Hey, Ducky, I got a good question for him. I want to ask you, you know, all the time when you and I, we together upstairs there, and you give me all these scouting reports and things like that. And I want to ask you something. I want you to tell us how good Bo was. You know, like Bo.
Well, I didn't see Bo. Bo was before
Bo gets a little hot-headed at times. You know, like
yeah, but
you gotta listen.
Well, I saw him when he played, when he got up to the big leagues. Oh, I mean, he could pick them, and there was no question. And every now and then, he even used to get a hit.
Yeah. What do you mean every now and then? I got 2,000 of them hits, man.
You got over 2,000.
Come on, man.
No, I know he did damn good.
Hopefully, Ducky, you can do this another 20, 25 years.
I'm hoping.
And we can come back here and do this show again, and you can tell us about all the great players that are coming up through our organization.
Looking forward to it, really.
All right. It's good to have you, man.
Okay, thank you.
Emily Messina dreamed of a career in baseball, and now Emily is the voice of the Reading Phils.
Well, Chuck, we're sitting here with Emily Messina, and as you well know, and as I well know, there's a lot of women that are getting involved big time in baseball, which is a good thing. And I wanted to ask Emily how you started out. Did you, anybody that stood out that you tried to be a role model, or they were your role model or anything like that?
Well, I feel like I tell this story a lot, but I started deciding that this is what I wanted to do when I heard Susan Wellman on the radio for the New York Yankees. And that's when I kind of thought this could be something more than what I do for fun, but what I do as a career. So ever since then, you know, I went to college, learned about communications, and got my feet wet broadcasting for my school's athletic department, and then was able to get a job out of college working for an affiliate of the Indians, broadcasting there.
The Indians?
Yeah, down in Lynchburg, which is near.
Lynchburg's not far from where I grew up.
Not far from where you're from.
Exactly. You were way out in the country, girl.
Yeah, I was out there. But that was a great first season for me. Learned a lot. And then spent a season in the ABL in Australia.
Oh, you were in Australia?
I was in Australia, yeah. That was a cool experience.
So you're building up that resume right now.
Yeah, and then I came here, back near my home, and it's been great working for the
What is
Phils.
your job title? If like, when we talk about Emily, what would the job title?
Broadcasting and Media Relations Manager.
Okay. So. You know, when every time we come to a game, Chuck, you know who gives us the stats?
Yeah, she also
got
brings
the
the food
stat
to us,
packs for
too.
you.
She brings us the food.
And a little bit of side waitressing.
Yeah, she takes care of us.
Oh, I gotcha.
Yeah.
So you're Susan Wollman, obviously. Mm-hmm. She does the color for the Yankees.
Yes.
She's been there a long time. Mm-hmm. And I remember back in the day when I was with Joe, she's a big part of the Yankees' history.
Yeah.
And How did you get involved with that? Did you like baseball when you were growing up?
I did. My parents were big baseball fans, so I grew up in a household that watched the games all the time, and we weren't far from the bank, so going there as a child too, and that's really how I got interested in it.
Well, I understand you have some rapid fire questions for Chuck and I.
Sure, yeah.
So we've been asking you questions.
Go
so
right
maybe
into
you
it.
can go into it now. You can. It's your gig now.
Well, I've seen you guys around a lot, working in baseball, and what do you like to do on your off day? What's your big off day plan?
Play golf.
Play golf. That's every baseball player's
Or go
answer.
to the casino.
Or the casino. Oh, what do you play?
It doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. You got a lucky number?
He's lucky.
Lucky number. My lucky number would be. My lucky number is 41, but when I'm most of the time 7.
7.
Yeah.
What about you?
I love golf.
Golf too.
I like to play more, but in the summer, Chuck and I like to go all over and watch our minor leagues. I'm not as lucky as he is at the casino, because usually when I go to the casino, I make a donation and then I leave. But every time Chuck goes, Chuck wins. So he's got that lucky charm in his pocket.
I know you live in Florida and used to live in Pennsylvania. What is your best vacation spot?
Wow, that's a great one. Well, I'm from California.
Okay.
So I used to like to go out there to see my family in Sacramento. But if I had to pick one city, it would be San Diego, because the weather is perfect every day of the year. But I go back to California once a year to see my family.
Oh,
but I would say San Diego.
Okay, big coast to coast.
Yeah.
How about you?
I'd say California. I'd say Pebble Beach.
Okay, you play good golf there?
Down in that area. The country out there is completely different from, say, San Francisco or something. Once you get down that far, west?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's completely different. It's beautiful, really.
It's nice.
I enjoy that.
Well, I got one more question for you,
Sure.
because there's a place that I would like to visit, but it's so far away. What's Australia like?
Oh my gosh, it's awesome. It's as cool as they say it is, for sure. It's just way more spread out than America. Like, all of their cities are very separate from each other. You kind of have to fly everywhere you go. And the ABL down there is really cool because you have such different talent. Like, you could have an ex-major leaguer throwing to like an 18-year-old catcher. It's kind of like really interesting.
So it's good winter league down there.
Yeah, it's really good winter league. We had some interesting players like Delman Young played
Okay.
there. Yeah. Peter Moylan was pitching there, and he was actually throwing to a catcher in our organization, Chris Burke. He's one of the younger guys, so he played on the team. And I think the Phillies have a pretty good relationship, because I know a lot of guys played winter ball down there. So that's pretty
we
fun.
want to thank you, because every time Charlie and I come, you're unbelievable hostess for us. But we want to wish you the best of luck. Keep that dream going, because I'm sure you're going to be leaving us passes to watch a big league game before your career's over.
Oh, well, you guys have been so great since I've been here, so it's been fun getting along with you guys.
Yeah.
All right.
My name is Kenny Thomas, and I'm the chief artist at Shibe Sports. I'm a big Philadelphia sports fan, a 4-for-4 guy.
I learned how to screen print in high school. Started making my own t-shirts at home, slowly grew and grew until I needed to get a studio. My name's Alex, and I print t-shirts for Shibe Sports.
To actually be able to impact a culture with the things you make is one of the most important things an artist can ever do.
All right, Chuck, we're sitting here in Reading, getting ready to watch the Reading Fighting Phils take on the Akron Ducks, I guess, the Rubber Ducks, and it should be a good game. But let's talk about these rule changes, okay? Now, I know everybody knows that you and I are old school, and these new rules, a lot of them were incorporated because of the virus,
Right.
which I understand that. I get
Right.
7-inning doubleheaders. I get putting a man on. I get all that, because you don't want them being exposed out there for a long period of time. But hypothetically, let's say next year we've got the virus solved. Are there any of the new rules that you like or that you would like to be different starting next year?
The rules I see on the field now, usually I'm probably against almost every one of them. Like
Let's start with a man on extra innings, man on second.
I don't like that rule at all.
I don't either.
I think and they say that they put that rule in because of a game going along and it goes like
16 and 17 innings
and things like that. And I say that the season is endurance. It's a journey. It's a long ways. And so the best man standing at the end.
You're
so
exactly
therefore,
right.
we don't be making it easy for this team I know we can beat.
That tells you the depth of your
Right,
team. When
right.
you can play
Exactly.
a 17-inning game
Exactly.
and then come back the next
Yeah.
night and maybe
Yeah.
you have a 12-inning game,
Right.
as you
Yeah.
said.
Yeah.
It's not a sprint. This
Right.
is a long race.
Right.
And to determine the winner, you got to go through those ups
Right,
and downs. You
right.
got to battle through a 17-inning game. You got to battle a back-to-back
Right,
extra-inning
right,
games.
right.
And that tells you how good your organization
right,
is, how deep
right.
your organization is.
Yeah.
Let's get into the. Let's talk about the 7-inning doubleheaders.
7-inning doubleheader, I say doubleheaders at the major league level. This major league is 9-inning games. I want to play 9-inning games, and if we split or we win a doubleheader or lose a doubleheader, I think that's just how it goes. I don't like the 7-inning doubleheaders because it seems like the game gets there real quick, and it's kind of like playing 2 innings to me because the last 2 innings
Yeah,
in a
because
7-inning game is a
Well,
basic
the fifth's
kind
like
of
a
thing.
regular 7-inning game, so
Exactly.
you better score early.
Exactly.
Okay, so we're 2 for 2 on those. We want both those out. Let's talk about this is where one I know you don't like. Bring a reliever in, unless he retires the last out of that inning, he's got to face 3 hitters. What do you think of that?
I don't like it. I don't like it at all because it takes that lefty that's a specialist. It takes you. You don't have that guy. You can't just go get, like
Right.
whoever you want. And I think that's part of managing. I mean,
strategy.
hey, it's right. It also, to be a good manager in the major league, you also got to know the other manager across there. Like things that he's apt to do and things like that when you talk about it.
Right.
And so therefore, you want every weapon on the bench to be able to use those weapons. Yeah, I totally disagree. I don't like that.
I was thinking back, we both had Tommy, okay? Just say Tommy's leading an inning off, and you got a lefty down there, and you're worried about Tommy. There's no question.
Right.
So the main thing I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in a lefty.
Right.
But now say you got, I'm just
Right.
using this, say you got a Burrell and another right-handed power hitter.
Right.
That lefty's got to face
Right.
those guys too.
Right.
So
Right.
you got to be
Right.
careful when you
Right.
make that decision. Do I want to bring one left-hander in to get Tommy out and he's got to pitch to 2 righties, or do I want to put a right-hander out there, take my chances of him getting Tommy out or maybe pitching around Tommy and let him face the 2 right-handers?
Right.
So-
that right there, that boils down to the guy has to stay in and face all 3 of those hitters, and it takes the situational part of the game out for me. Like in the part of managing the game.
Right. I agree with that.
It's harder to manage a game when you got
have to
moves.
you have
The
to
more
use
moves you got, that's
it
when it
makes it
becomes
very
harder
difficult.
to manage a game.
All right, let's go to the last 2. We'll make these quick. Breaking up a double play and knocking a catcher over at home plate. I played short. I expected to get hit every time the ball came to me. I thought that was part of the game as long as it wasn't dirty. If they wanted to knock me into left field, hey, I take my
Right.
hat off to them.
Right.
And what about the catcher at home plate?
The catcher at home plate, same way. If a catcher blocks a plate, you're supposed to be, back when we played, of course, you could hit the guy, you could run over him. I've seen catchers. I've had catchers. I had Etcheburn when in the bottom of the 9th inning, he caught a ball at the plate bow, and he was blocking the plate, but he come up a line about 5 or 6 feet, and and hit took his shin guard and just scraped my whole leg, like
You were the guy coming in?
Yeah, I mean, crushed me, man. And I'm gonna tell you something. But that was the way you played back then. And nowadays they say, well, we don't want the guy getting hurt. We don't want the guy getting hurt. And I understand that we don't want people getting hurt, but at the same time too, that was also exciting part of baseball.
No question.
To me, the exciting part of baseball, see Chase Utley or Jimmy Rollins, Victorino run for a triple,
Right.
or see them steal bases.
Right.
And also, I don't know if you remember, I think the crowd in Philly started really liking our team when they saw us run over players at the plate and also on the bases.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that they really grew to like those players because we were aggressive and things like that. So therefore, I still like the old rule.
I do too. So we're in agreement with all those rules, and I know that we're not going to change them. but that's just our opinion. And I know people are saying, oh, you guys are old school, but I'm going to end this real quick. Did you ever take the field saying, I hope I don't get hurt tonight?
Never.
I never played like that, and I'm glad I didn't play like that. And I think sometimes we worry too much about injuries. You just go out and play the game hard and let the chips fall where they may.
I want to ask you something. Have you ever got hurt and stayed in the game?
Yes.
Exactly.
Yeah, I did.
Exactly.
Yes.
Right. Did you ever ask your manager, did you ever tell your manager that you did not want to play?
Never. I'd make him take me out. If I was 0 for 12, there's no way I was going in and say I want a day off. He might say, hey, Bo, you're sitting down. You're not swinging good. And I say, okay, you got it. But there's no way I'm asking out of a game.
That's exactly right.
It's always great to hear Charlie and Larry talk about their passions for the game. We have more guests coming in the weeks to come, but for Charlie and Larry, I'm Sam Wilson, and we'll catch you down the line. Down the Line is brought to you in part by the Valley Forge Tourism and Convention Board. Visit Montgomery County's main streets. Find out more at makeitmainstreets.com. By Shibe Vintage Sports, where there's a story in every stitch. Check out their throwback sports gear at their Center City location or at shibesports.com. And by Phillies Nation, where informed fans go for news, rumors, events, and other fun stuff.